Okay, here are the answers to the fake quiz. So I want you guys to understand that when you look at these questions, you have to know what you're going to do. They all pretty much say factor. When you guys asked for clarification or help, I said, try to factor. This is really all I can say. So for the first one, it says find the GCF of these two terms. When you're looking for the GCF, you're looking for the largest number that can go into both of them and the smallest of the variables that are in common. So that means that the largest number I can divide both of these by is 2, and then the smallest of the variables would be m to the 4th. And that's it. I found the GCF. I'm not factoring this time. I'm just writing the answer to that. And the next one, what they already did for us is they already gave us the twins. So all we have to do is write the GCFs, which are the 5 and the negative 9x. That goes in one group. And the twins, or the common binomials, go in the other group. So we're done there. Anytime we have 4 terms, we do factor by grouping. A lot of you didn't know how to do this on the fake quiz, but you did it in the harder problems from 7-4. So we use factor by grouping whenever we have 4 terms. And so what that means is first we find the GCF, so I can divide both of these by 3x squared. The GCF goes outside, and the leftovers go inside. So that leaves me with 5x minus 2. And then the next one, the GCF, I'm going to take out actually a negative 5 because I know that it needs to end in the negative 2 so that I have the same. So 10 divided by negative 5 gets me negative 2. So that's how I did that. Or you'd have to change the signs on that one. So then I end up with 3x squared minus 5. I took my GCFs, put them there, and then my twins, 5x minus 2. That's my final answer. Remember, you can check all of these with FOIL, so I could check this by doing FOIL after. Okay, next one, factor, it's 4 terms. It just says to factor, but I know it's by grouping because there are 4 terms. So I'm going to divide both of these by 4x squared. And so that's going to go outside, and then left over I would have 4 divided by 4 is 1, x cubed divided by x squared would be an x, minus 16 divided by 4 is 4, and the x squareds cancel. And so I know my next one needs to end in x minus 4. So if that's the case, I need this to be a positive x. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. That would give me a negative 4 as well. So divide by negative 3, and I get x minus 4. So the GCFs go in the first group, 4x squared and negative 3. And the twins, x minus 4, go in the next group. Again, check by FOIL. Okay, number 5 says factor as well, but notice it's a trinomial. It's 3 terms. You have to see that so you know what method to use. And not only is it a trinomial, but the a specifically is 1, and that's really important. This is when I'm going to use a basic trinomial where I put the variable in each first, and I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to c and add to b. That's what's happening every time. So I want them to multiply to c and add to b. So therefore I need 2 numbers that multiply to 100. So I could start listing them, 1 and 100. Well, that already adds to b, the 101. Those are my 2 terms. So I write that as x plus 1, x plus 100, and I'm done. Doesn't matter the order of those terms. So I copied the same rule because 6 and 7 I know are the exact same thing. They're both a trinomial where a equals 1. So I'm going to use that same basic factoring. So I need 2 things that multiply to 48 and add to 14, and I'm going to put my variable first. So 48, I'd have 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and something, 16, 3 and 16. And keep doing that, and you would end up with 6 and 8. So it's plus 6 and plus 8. Check by FOIL. In the next one, we have r and r, but I need 2 things that multiply to negative 20, so that means that one number is going to be negative. So 4 and 5 have a difference of 1, so I know that's it, but I'm torn between negative 4 and 5, or 4 and negative 5, but the one that adds to positive 1 is right here. So it would be r minus 4 and r plus 5. Okay, and the reason why that's different from 8, 9, and 10 is remember that the a was 1. Okay, so here I have a trinomial again, but this time the a is trinomial, a is not equal to 1. So the difference there is that you have to do AC. So step 1 would be to calculate AC. Well, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. You don't worry about the variable, just the coefficient, 3 and negative 8. That multiplies to negative 24. And then I need two things that multiply to negative 24 that add to 2. Two things that multiply to negative 24 that add to 2. So basically it's that multiply to AC and add to B. So the two things that do that, we have negative 6 and 4. No, 6 and negative 4. Sorry, it took me a second. See, it's hard for me too sometimes. So 6 and negative 4. So it'd be 6x and negative 4x, because we need the x there so that they add correctly to 2x. It'd be like combining like terms and going back to the trinomial and the problems that we've done with FOIL. So step 3 is to split the b, which I've done. And step 4 is to write your 4 terms. And when you have 4 terms, you use factor by grouping. It's a lot of steps, but I just want you to see it really broken down for those that need it. So I'm writing my 4 terms, 3x squared. Now it's 6x and negative 4x instead of that 2x, and then negative 8. Factor by grouping. So in the first group, I can divide both by 3x. So 3x goes outside, and on the inside, I have x plus 2. In the next group, we take negative 4, and I have x plus 2. So now my GCF was 3x minus 4, and my twins are x plus 2. And that's it. Next one, AC. So that's 12. Two things that multiply to 12 that adds to 7. Well, that's 3x and 4x. Doesn't matter which order again. Write up my 4 terms. 2x squared, don't need the 7x anymore because it's 3x, and 4x plus 6. 4 terms means I'm going to use factor by grouping. So what can I divide both of these by? It's going to be x. X comes outside, we have 2x plus 3. In the next group, we can divide both by 2. So I have 2 times x plus 3. So then I have x plus 2 as my GCF, and my twins of x, 2x plus 3. Had an error there, sorry. And my last one, negative 3 times negative 16. Well, that's positive 48. 48. And so I need two things that multiply to 48 that adds 26. Well, it's 24x and 2x. So now I write out my 4 terms. Negative 3x squared plus 24x plus 2x minus 16. Find the GCF. I can divide both of these by negative 3x. So that leaves me with, let's put that on the outside. That left me with x minus 24 divided by negative 3 is 8, and those x's canceled. So x minus 8 plus, take a 2 out of the next group, and you get x minus 8. So I'm just going to move that over here. So the final answer will be negative 3x plus 2 and x minus 8.